Hello, we are back. Sorry, there was some technical problems. Now looks like it's okay. So we keep our learning of the head movements, but before, because in this time is quite important to rely on our breath, because we train the lungs. And it's very good to try to keep this condition as good as possible. Of course, in all yantra, the breathing is the focus, is the central aspect. But sometimes it's good to have something simple that can be applied without too much preparation or nothing. And that is proven that is also good for the respiration and cleaning and deepening and training is good. Is not particularly of Yantra Yoga, but since this kind of session are a little mixed, it says also we work with the respiration. And so I would like to do something that everybody knows. Is very simple, is very common in many systems. And this is the alternative nostril breathing. Because I think could be useful. Sometimes you have a few minutes, you sit and you do it, is helping quite a bit. Especially probably in this moment can be a useful tool to know. And first we prepare a little bit, we relax the breathing, we relax the body. And then we also do this. Okay, alternate nostril breathing, because can be really a good support. So now, first of all, we move a little bit our body, as we already done with some simple movement. We shake our feet vigorously, but not too much. Then the other side. Of course, we try to do some practice together, but also the purpose is so that you can see what you can do when you have a little time by yourself. Now for the knees, post this, you can also put the leg here. So all these movement we are doing, these exercises, these warm-ups, they don't belong to Yantra. In Yantra Yoga, the only official warm-ups are the Qigong, loosening of the joints. All these warm-ups are kind of preparation for, to be sure that when we want to practice, we don't force our body into something is not prepared to, is not warmed up for. So we have a warm-up for the body, and we have a certain body of those. But this warm-up, if you know some that you know is helping you, you can use what you want. It's not that you are limited to only what I will be doing now. But of course, with time, we have kind of coordinated the warm-ups with certain characteristics related also to the movement, and so on, integrating carefully when it's possible the breathing with the movement. So we have just this body that we try more or less to do the same. But you should not be limited to that for your own practice. And then the exercises relative to the practice of the smooth breathing or working specifically with the breath, these are kind of warm-ups for the breathing. Warm-up for the body, warm-ups for the breathing. And these again, I've been showing some, but if you understand the principle and there is something that you find that is useful, that you like it, and you feel it just helping you somehow, then I don't see reason why you shouldn't do. Because we are all different, everybody's different. So we try to do something, but at the end, we will be doing it ourselves. We all have the physical body, the dimension of our energy, we all have mind, the conscience, but not necessarily the same thing. Everybody is an individual. We are the same and also particular. So sometimes something that might be very good for me, for another person, maybe is not so good. And some other things are the opposite. Some movement, some position, somebody is very easy, for example, bending forward. For some people, it's very difficult. For some people, arching backward is difficult. For others, not so much. Important that we observe ourselves and discover what are our limitations, and then try to apply something to overcome that with grace, with energy, but with grace, without forcing. This is important. Not forcing, not being passive, but not forcing is very important. This is a way of working. Because the best way to make things happen is to try to be a little consistent. You know, training, in another word, is the key of achieving some improvement. So now these exercises, I do some, hopefully most of them are quite simple. For example, this one that I just did, you can do also on the chair, there is no problem. I also saw the other session. Some might be a little bit not so simple, but for some people might be simple. So you see, we work with our condition and then we find the best way. Now we shake a little bit. My feet disappear. My feet disappear. Okay. Also, we can shake it like this. Regarding the breathing, always there's something to do with the breathing to be aware of. So in this case, when we do these kind of things, the breathing, what we have to try to do to be mindful, aware of, is not to block it. You don't have necessarily to breathe very long or very fast or very intensively. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we let it more soft and smooth. So in this case, when there is no particular strong action or something, what you have to try to do is to be aware of not blocking your breath, not closing, that you do the movement and then or do another simple thing, and then this should be tried to be avoided. You should be trying to let the breathing be smooth, fluid, always. Even if it's subtle, should have this quality of being soft, fluid, calm. Sometimes is vigorous, but the quality of not being blocked, fragmented, should always be there. And the starting from below when you inhale and starting from the top when you exhale should always be there. Okay. So now we do this. If you want coordinate the breathing, then inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, now bring the feet together. We a little bit move our feet. Now we move 1 foot forward, quite a bit, a couple of spans from the perineum forward, and then inhale, lengthening the arms along the side of the head. Then we come down exhaling, and then we go forward. Like if you want to put our forehead on the foot. You go only where you arrive, don't push it. If you can go down a little more, you go, but don't try to force it. If you have the tendency of forcing a little bit, you go if you really have to want to test yourself, but immediately pull back a little bit. If you want to stay, you stay there after pulling back. Otherwise, you can do in movement. Are two ways of doing exercises in movement, this kind of warm-ups, and more static. If you do movement, comes really almost natural to coordinate. When you close, exhale. When you open, inhale. Close, inhale, exhale. Open, inhale. Exhale, inhale. Now, I'm going to explain it now about this movement, but in reality, it is a kind of general principle. When we bend forward, to make the movement easier and not charge too much the spine, especially lower back, that is a delicate fulcrum, kind of central point more or less of our motion. And is a place, for example, where most people have problem in the back, might have it in the lower back. And because of that, then almost automatically there can be some problem in the cervicals because are kind of very connected, these 2 points. So when we can release the burden from the spine is always good. And we can do it focusing on the mechanic of the movement, but also we can do it with the breathing. If we infuse, so to speak, the movement with the breathing, then you will see that there is less stress, less necessity of action somehow. Everything becomes more fluid, more smooth. So fluid or smooth also is not only a quality of the breath, should also be a quality of the movement. Doesn't mean they cannot be vigorous. Sometimes can, sometimes should. But vigorous inside, there is this seed of this smoothness, fluidity. So it's strength, but at the same time, there is this grace inside. Okay, so we have to try to train that. Even a simple movement, actually more on the simple movement. Because on a simple movement, is easier. There is not much to think about. You move down and come back, for example. It's not so complicated. You don't have to remember something, but you can be sure that you are present in what you do. And make the movement as easy and smooth as possible, together with the breathing. So, as a mechanics of the movement, when we do this forward bending, we have to try to move in a kind of way that is not immediately spontaneous, because we have the head and the brain is in the head. The brain is the office that all the directive, apparently. Actually, there is all feedback from the body and everything, but with senses are here, so we are very much focused on our head. And so when there is to do something, especially moving forward, the instinct is to go with the head. The head brings the shoulder. So the shoulder, the head, no. when we have to move forward, try to go focusing on the navel. Like you try to bring the navel forward, not the head. The head will come because it's on top of the neck, that is on top of the spine and everything. So when you move like this, there is no any effort or something or tension in the neck and the head, but simply the movement is smoother, more harmonious. So you go from the navel, and also you will see that you actually can go down more easy and a little more. That is not really the purpose, but will happen because the mechanic of the movement is easier. Also, without doing this and crunching down and blocking the lower spine, that this also block the spine, and then also the breathing cannot happen well. And kind of we compress instead of opening the space, we compress the space. So like this, the only risk could be that we want to exaggerate, stretch up very much and do like this. And then if you open too much space, if you stretch too much, then things can happen. And you should know what to do if you do that. And it's not always so easy. So again, opening without exaggerating, without pushing, and finding the more direct, simple, and smooth way for the movement and the breathing to move together. And this can be done if you are not distracted. If you are distracted, it cannot happen. And if you are distracted, you can do something you are not supposed to do. Force, for example, somewhere or something. And you don't want to do that because you want to be gentle with yourself. Careful. So we move forward. We can do first a little bit like this. This is the easier way. Then, as I showed before, you stretch along the side of the head, then exhaling, come down here, and then go here. We do maybe 3 times. Inhale, exhale first to the level of the shoulders, and then toward the foot. And then you see, more or less, without forcing, but doing your best, where we arrive. Look at your foot. Take a good look at your foot. And try to remember where our eyes are seeing the foot, what part. And now we do in another way. We stretch, and then for the people who can, that doesn't create a problem, we go forward from the navel again, from the navel, forward like this, with keeping the arm straight and the sides stretch out. Exhaling. And if you look where you arrive now, probably you see that you are a little further because I are creating more space. Then we switch. A couple of span, if you can. Not too close though. Not too close is not so. A little bit of this. For some people, maybe you can only do this, but it's fine. Not necessarily only big, difficult movement can train. Very simple movement can do a lot of good. Especially if we spend most time doing nothing. Now down, and then moving always from the navel. When you do this, lift the sides so the back is straight and don't let it fold. And now straight out. Inhaling. Exhaling. Okay. Now together. Now here, again, try to keep it a little forward, but in this case, slightly less. Otherwise, might be a little, slightly, not really hard, but not so gentle on the knees. So you find, also if you have some problem, be careful. You have to be mindful of your condition. Now, first level of the shoulders. And now out. Now I can back up directly like this, but in general, it's better if you slide your hands back first and then go up. It's more gentle. Okay, now we go back here again and bounce a little bit. You can make the Vajra fist. So we introduce the Vajra fist. The thumb at the root of the ring finger, then you close. This is a Vajra fist that is used in Yantra. And then you can go to the side of the sides, stretch up, and maybe bounce slightly, softly. And then you can just to stay a little bit where you arrive. Okay. Shake a little bit the feet. Now, again, one foot here, but the other outside, like this. Again, try not to force. But if you can, you lean a little bit. If you can touch your foot, you lean a little bit. But first, you turn the torso on the direction of the leg and then lean. Gently. Don't have to push it or try to go down or anything. These are kind of general warm-ups, also good for the sitting position. Then come to the center again and go to the other side. First, let it settle. And then lean. Okay, now one a little more challenging. This is not always so easy to understand. Okay, so you keep one leg down on the floor if you can, and then the other goes over and the foot goes on the other side. So the 2 feet are both more or less on one line. Sometimes this is not so easy to understand. And then we move forward a little bit. This is very good to be able to train the sitting position. If you can, you go down, 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 down. If you can get to the floor, but it's not so easy, this one. So don't push it. And always when you move from the navel, wherever you arrive, then stay there a little. You might feel some kind of nice little something happening. Then we switch. Now the other leg is down and the one goes in front. Many people, we remain like this. I know for experience. But the foot should not stay close to the buttocks, but they should come out. You should see the tip of the toes being in front of this knee a little bit, without forcing and anything. And then we go down. According to your capacity, you can go more or less. If you find a point that there is a little bit of, you are feeling something maybe here, but is pleasant, is not painful or worrisome. It's kind of a little bit, then you can stay there and relax. As I say, you can breathe into it. We don't stay too long. We come back. Okay, so now this one for the body, for the sitting position, are some simple exercises that can be good. And that's what I wanted to train, because we were doing, I told you, I wanted to show you this alternative nostril breathing. And also because, for the same reason, I want also to teach you the rhythmic breathing. Because the last session we did the first of the 8 movements that is already introducing the open hold. And the open hold is what it is applied in the rhythmic breathing. We did the 9 breathings, the purification of the stale air, and there is no holding after inhaling, but there is the holding after exhaling, empty hold. So we are experienced of both, because what is already done, and of course, maybe we do it again, of the empty hold and the open hold. And in rhythmic breathing, we apply both. After inhaling, the open hold, and after exhaling, the empty hold. So we have already done this, and now we will do also again, repeat the 9 breathings, repeat the first of the 8 movements, and we also do the second of the 8 movement, that is the precise exercise for the open hold. We have already done some exercises to train for the first and the second movement, but we can also do it again. Maybe we will do it again, this time standing, when we apply that. So now, let's consider it another warm-up for the breathing. First, maybe we open up our legs like this and do a little bit breathing in the position we already done. With the knees open, I have sometimes I'm not confusing the two courses I'm doing because now I'm worried. So the knees open, and you can do it also on the chair, then I show you on the chair. And breathe smoothly from the nostrils. This exercise is to help opening the diaphragmatic breath. Is one definition, we can have many, that is one. So breathe just from the nostrils only, fluidly if you can. And now and then take a deeper breath. Relax into this flow of the breath. Okay, now we sit back. And now the breath should be a little open and smooth. Starting from below and going up from the top. Okay, we are ready. So we do this alternate breathing. It's very simple. We can close one nostril with the thumb and the other one with the middle finger. And doesn't matter which one because we go around. So we close and then inhale from one nostril. Then switch, close the other, leave open that, and exhale from the other. Longer than inhalation. Then close again. And inhale from the other, and exhale. This is one way. If you do this way, then you might want to do the other way from the other side. But now we will go into a circle. So I show it again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale from the same. And exhale from the other. Inhale from the same. And exhale from the other. Okay. Here, it comes useful, this little experience we have of the open hold. Because when you switch from one nostril to the other, you don't want to hold or block. You want to let it soft. So there is a moment of pause before inhaling, when you move. That pause, you should leave it open. It's like a mini, small, open hold. And then, after exhaling, again, don't inhale immediately, but again, let a small little pause. Relax one moment into the end of the exhalation. And then inhale. Especially if you want to do first practice in one side and then the other, it's very useful, this pose. It's better to do it that way. Okay? Now, if you look from the point of view of Yantra, there is different way of doing male and female. But in this case, that's why I chose mostly to show and teach this circle one. We'll go both ways, so it's not really important. Okay? So let's do it a moment again. Close, then inhale directly from below. Try not to feel that your throat is blocking. Then switch with this kind of nice little pause, then exhale. Then a little pause again, re-inhale. Switch and exhale. Softly inhale. Little open pause, switch, exhale. Long. And so on. For example, this breathing is said that helps with the lungs and not developing raffreddore, runny nose, cold in the nose. So can be also interesting. Another thing, if you want to practice the breathing for a longer time, you can also repeat in the 9 breathings. Of course, you can repeat the 9 breathings. There is no limit once and then you have to stop. You can repeat, no problem at all. So now we go back to the structure and we do the 9 breathings now. We take a nice breath and then men with the right, women with the left, inhale. Exhale. Grain of barley. Empty hold. Center. Inhale. Go up with the elbow. Exhale. Empty. Still empty. Inhale. Inhale, bring deep air in the belly. Immediately you arrive, close and exhale. Empty. When you arrive up, before exhaling, you should have the same smooth transition. The breathing has a little kind of corpus, so has a little sound because there is some strength in it. But not because it's controlled. Because the strength we give to the starting of the exhalation because of the shape of the grain. Now, from below in the center, we exhale remaining. We are from the top, then move forward, finishing to exhale, elbow against the ribs. A little empty, come back. Okay, now I change a little bit the setting of the camera. And first I go to show on the chair. What I want to show on the chair is these exercises we have done before. Specifically, this, oh, sorry. I have to change again. So you see my legs, but it's fine. So you put one here. Not fine. One here. And then do like this a little bit. And then the other side, of course. Be careful not to force the knee. But you can do it. Also this on the chair. And again, even if you're in the chair, when you move forward, do it from the navel. Don't do like this. Keep the back straight and gently move it forward. I still don't like it that much. So I go here. Okay. So now For this also is a very good exercise. And if you want to do it on the chair, you go a little bit on the edge, then let the foot out, and you can lean toward there, but then don't go in the temptation of putting your hand on the knee. That is not good. You put a hand at the groin here, and then you can stretch the leg a little bit and go down. You again turn and go down, but here, you hold on to here. And maybe if you try to stretch the foot forward, is a little, so maybe you pull back slightly the toes. Don't force it. And then go the other side. It's better a little bit on the edge. It's easier. First, you feel that you are comfortable, that you don't have problems. Feel where you are more comfortable, and then go and move a little bit. Okay, this for the chair. Okay, so now we do the first of the 8 movements. First, we prepare a little bit, stretching. Our arms. The other side. Then up. The others. Don't push too much. Mostly is pulling up your wrist. And then go to the side, push back the shoulder blade. The other side. Let me see if I see this one going back. That is better. There is more breath on the video. Okay. Now you try to put the hand in the shoulder blade, and from behind you do this to keep straight the back and push the elbow up. Then the other side. Stretch well up the elbow. Okay, so we are ready to do the first. We started slightly later, so maybe I will go a little bit more. Feet parallel. Today I cannot see if you see my feet parallel. Inhale. Exhale. Slow inhale. Open, hold, chin set, stretching. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale from below. Exhale. Inhale slowly from below. Open, hold. Exhale without pressure in the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Now we do it with the rhythm more precise. In. Out. Slow in. Open, hold. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Slow in. Open, hold. Out. In. Out. Last time. In. Out. Slow in. Open, hold. Out. In. Out. Okay. This was the first of the 8 movements. Now we see the second. First I show you. I do it quickly, so just to see how it is. Okay, very, very quick and so-so, just to show what is about. Okay, so this one is for the open hold. It's for the open hold, and there is already the next holding, that will be the third movement, that is the directed hold, that is called Jilwa. Open hold is called Ganwa in Tibetan. Jilwa, we see in the next time, takes a little more of contest to try to understand it well. But Jilwa is the directing, and most of the time comes after the open hold. Not always, but mostly, because it's the way in which we direct the air downward, directing hold. Gil. So how we do this movement? This movement, we do the Vajra fist that we saw before. And while one fist is coming along the side and lodged under the armpit, the other one at the same time goes exactly the same movement as the 9 breathings, goes to the side, and then you bring the elbow up and put the fist at the forehead, just above the eyebrows, not on the nose, but there. So the position is this. This is important to understand, and this should be really up. Is really the same as in the 9 breathings. This movement should help you to do the same. To start breathing nicely from below. Bring up all very nicely, but this time focusing and favoring one side versus the other. Generally, the second part of this movement is Jilwa. And generally, Jilwa is done asymmetrically. First, closing more one side and opening the other, and then the opposite, the other way. Is because it has a lot to do, Jilwa, with the rib cage. So we close the rib cage, and in this way we direct. It's mostly done in this way. If we look at also the yantras, they have this characteristic, are generally torsions. So when we do this, we don't have necessarily to massage, but we lodge under the armpit, but not push back. Try to be on the side, just simply on the side. And if you do this, then you can feel, you can really, oh, sorry. If you do this, you can really feel that you close the lower part of the ribs. It is very easy to feel. But if you do like this, it's not really happening. Like this is happening, close. Because you want to favor the other side. So the other side, as we have done more or less the same movement, as I said, of the 9 breathings, go like this, because we start. And you have a nice full inhalation. And now what happens that this part, as we have seen in the 9 breathings, is really opening up. And again, you don't have to push back the elbow or push forward. You have to try to keep it sideways so that you feel really this, the upper chest expanding so that you can breathe very nicely. This one is closed and this one is open. So you have, if you do the movement correctly, this side's controlled and this side's favored and open. But if you do this one like this, nothing of that happens. You don't feel any influence on the body. So in this way, there is not really the full possibility of the fruit of the exercise, because you are not creating the right condition for this to happen. So we have to try to really lodge nicely here to close to the side, and this really have to go very well up with the elbow and put it here. Then we have to hold open. We already know what it means, what it feels like, holding open from the previous. And then you go grazing the first ear without moving the head. Keep the head stable. And this movement should be done with vigor. It's not that because you are here, then you do like this and do like that. Then it's gone. Cannot really happen the way that should. So from here, you go grazing the ear, keeping, and then still with vigor, you go around, graze the other ear, go to the eyebrows next to the other ear. That is the movement we do holding. And here again, don't push back, but just again, the sister of this. This goes to the side, this goes to the side. Here, you arrive a moment of just when you arrive with control, and then release the control, go out and come down. When you release the control, Don't go first like this and then out, but you go directly out. Here, and then out, like this, and exhale. Then inhale and exhale. That is finished the first one. Then start the second. Inhale and exhale. And now we go the other side. Inhale, hold, hold, exhale. Inhale and exhale. And now together. Inhale, exhale, inhale. Now again, when you go here, you have to feel your side stretching, both. Pretty much like when we do this, or when we do this. It's the same. You should have the same feeling of the side stretching straight up. And then go, and then cross. A moment when you arrive, and then let go. Now, how do we cross? We cross men the left over right, and women the right over left. Left fist over the right at the nape. That is the trajectory. Go to the ear, go to the nape, the other ear, the eyebrows, and then to the side. To the next session, that will be actually tomorrow, we are gonna go more in detail of this one, because maybe it needs a little more time in reality to see, just to show like this, but we have to go over this again tomorrow. But one thing, if you want not to get confused the way that the hands go, you just remember, if you have the right fist, for example, you go right. The same direction of your hand. Right fist, you go right. Left fist, you go left. Otherwise, especially if you're looking my image, maybe you'll be misled by the effect, and then you maybe go the other way around. No, same direction of the hand. This is important to remember. It's helpful to remember. Okay, now, as I said, to go really in detail, we do tomorrow. And now we just do it together. I try to start getting familiar with it. So feet parallel. We arrive from this movement, inhaling and exhaling, and then we start from this. Again, we repeat the same inhaling and exhaling. In. Now let's do it together. A breath. In. Out. In. Are you with me? Hold, open without forcing, ear, nape, ear, ear, out. In, out. In, out. In, ear, nape, ear, eyebrows, ear, out. In, out. In, out. Both outside. In, forehead, ears, around, crossing, ear, 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 out. In, out. Okay, now we repeat. I only see what we are doing. In, out, in, Open hold, directed hold, out. In, out. In, out. In. This movement, when we do this movement, this part, I forgot to say before, this part we can do quicker because we have to stay in the rhythm. We cannot adapt the rhythm to the movement. We have to follow, the movement should follow the rhythm. So in this case, when we get here, we go 1, 2 at the nape in open hold, and then in 2 counts we have to go to the other ear, so we should be a little faster. 1, 2. You see? From here, and repeat. 1, 2, 1, 2. So the movement should be a little faster, and then correspond. Sorry, but I wanted to say this because otherwise you might find a little disconnection with the rhythm. So we do it again. In, out. In, hold open, directed, out. In, out. In, out. In, open, directed, out. In, out. In, out. In, open, directed, out. In, out. This movement like this, generally there was an image very nice like eagle's wings. So it's not really like this and it's not too high. It's somehow in between, somehow there. Okay, this is the second movement, and tomorrow we see again the first and the second. Now we go with the rhythmic breathing. Okay, find your comfortable position, the one that you feel you are at ease and with the back straight. First, we breathe a little, few times. Already you should see the effect of all the exercises we've been doing. Okay, now the rhythm. The rhythm breathing for today, we do only the very basic rhythm. We just learn how the rhythm is, and then the next day we do a little training. We do 4-4-4. What it means 4-4-4? It means that we inhale for 4 counts, we hold open, remember open, for 4 counts, then we exhale for 2, and remain empty for 2. This is 4-4-4. These days, there are infinite systems like this. Box breathing, there are so many coherent breathing, there is so many. Even if you have a smartwatch or a smartphone, if everybody has it, there are many apps that have this kind of characteristic. They tell you inhale, exhale. There are many systems also to release stress or to be able to sleep. One very famous that related to a doctor in United States, I think, is 478. There is many different ways and things, and sometimes we have one of these programs, and they tell you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, empty, like this. But what I found, and probably I'm wrong, but at least in this simple version of the thing, that they tell you to hold, but know how to hold. For example, it is after inhaling, you hold. But if you look at the Yantra Yoga, in Yantra Yoga, we have 4 different ways of holding after inhaling, for example. You can hold like we have been training to do now, open. You can hold blocking. If you have some tension and you block, it's not the same thing at all. It's not the same thing. Simply seeing holding doesn't do it really, because people, if you're nervous, they hold in a nervous way, and then instead of balancing the energy, who knows, it's different. Because if breathing is powerful, coordinating the breathing really helps coordinating our condition, our energy, and well-being is enhanced, and then, well, many nice things happen when the breath is coordinated. But also there should be coordinated, but at the same time, inside, you should have the freedom of breathing on your own, related to your own condition. Seems a little bit a contradiction maybe, but point is, you should find your spontaneous, natural flow of the breath. And this one, then you can shape. That's why in the earth movements, we train to create this condition, to eliminate all the obstacles and things, so that the breath can be really fluid and smooth and your energy can coordinate. On that base, it's different if you do some methods like this. But the same mere fact of coordinating is already helping, harmonizing and controlling the energy. But inside, still, there should be this kind of seed, or at least if there is this kind of seed, is better, is much better. When your breath is coordinating and the flow of the breath is coordinating, then when you hold, it's different, that you push yourself in holding in whatever way it is, because, as I said, the dimension of the breath is very powerful, but inside the dimension of how to coordinate inhalation and exhalation, holdings are the most powerful in the realm of breathing. Through the holding, you can really control subtle aspect of the energy and influence also the balance of the elements. Their power, holding the breath is powerful. So if you do it in the wrong way, well, it's not so advisable always. So in general, when we do this as a base to help relax and coordinate and strengthen the breath and train the possibility, the capacity, and the quality of the breathing, we apply open hold. Open hold is also influenced quite nicely the parasympathetic nervous system, so it is another way of calming, relaxing, let tensions fly away. So we are not too much conditioned. We are not fighting. We can just a little bit release, can manage in a different way. So breathing can help really very much. And 444, besides, helps also reducing and coordinating the heartbeat. So are many benefits. 4, inhaling, 4, holding open, 2, exhaling a little quickly, and then 2, empty hold. This part, generally, there is the indication of generally exhaling longer than inhalation is considered more advisable. But inside the structure of the rhythmic breathing, this will change when we start going a little more ahead with the rhythmic breathing. So slowly, the time of the exhalation will increase. And somehow, the way that is done in the rhythmic breathing looks like that the part of the empty hold is almost a passive continuation of the exhalation. That is my interpretation, in a way, if you want to say it that way. I do think something like that we can consider in this context the empty hold a kind of passive continuation of a thorough exhalation. Okay, so now we count the rhythm, and we count the rhythm using our hand. Jenny, the right hand. There is no indication of using the left, but if somebody really can't do it with the right, probably can do it with the left. So, inhaling. 1, we count going to touch the other hand. 2, we come back to the knee. 3, go the center of the body. 4, we snap. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. The rhythm is like a normal person, healthy, in a relaxed state. So, as I said already, we consider, for example, a little bit less than a second. But if you go slow, it's good. It's good going slow, provided that you are not changing the breath in order to breathe longer. No, the breath should be fluid, should be smooth. That is the base. So, inhale for 4 counts from the nostrils, the fluid breathing. Hold, keep the air inside, relaxed way, open hold for 4 counts. And then exhale, try to exhale with the shape so that even in 2 counts you can exhale nicely, is enough time. Is the rhythm of the 8 movement, 2 counts, you exhale. And then remain empty, 2 counts. And then again, inhale, 4 counts, hold, open, relax, 4 counts, exhale, remain open, empty, sorry. Okay, very simple. So now we do together maybe 5 rounds, and I lead you through it in different ways. We inhale, maybe we change air a little faster, like in the last 3 of the 9 breathings. I'm going slightly faster than I would like because I don't want to keep you too much time, but I promised I would do the breathing, and so there is a little more time. Breathe. Go. In, 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 in. Hold, open, relax. Exhale, empty. In, 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 in. Hold open, a pause of the breath. Keep the space open. Exhale, empty. In, hold. Exhale, empty. In, hold. Exhale, empty. Okay, we have done our 5 times. One last thing I wanted to tell you, that still we have to start from below. It's not like like this. No, we should root the breathing from below. Okay? So remember when we did the first movement, this. No? And then in the night breathings, when we did this. Here, actually, this movement, when you go there, can help you focusing on the lower breath, like this. The movement can help you do that, so use it. Remember to try to focus starting from below. Okay, I was joking before. Now with this little focus that I gave you, now let's do it again, one time, and really stay present, stay really focused in breathing from below. Your attention should be there. Ready? Exhale very well. Go in, 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 in. Hold. And if the air is not coming too much high, it's easier to hold. Exhale. Empty. Okay. For tonight, we finish. If you feel like training a little bit, especially the rhythmic breathing, could be good. As I told you, helps stay more calm. At the same time, you nicely strain your respiratory system. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow.